This is the second video presentation of the homework helper for 7th grade adding and subtracting integers. What's different about this presentation from the prior presentation is the approach. The approach in the first presentation that you've hopefully watched uses the concept of a number line. If the number line is bothering you, this might work out a little bit better. As you can see, we now have 3 rules at the top of the screen as opposed to a number line and some generalities there. The rules work for the adding and subtracting problems, and as you can see, I've left one step on there from the subtracting problems from the earlier presentation. Subtraction still has to get changed into adding the opposite to make this work here. So, the new rules are as follows. When we have the same signs, 2 positives or 2 negatives, what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the 2 numbers together, ignoring the sign. And then what we do is we apply the signs of the problem to the result. Meaning if it's 2 positive numbers, we stick a positive on our answer. If it's 2 negative numbers, we stick a negative on our answer. If we have different signs, positive and a negative, we're then instead going to subtract the big minus the small, ignoring the signs. And then whichever number has the biggest absolute value, we're going to take its sign and apply it to the result. Remember, absolute value is the number of jumps away from 0 a number is on a number line. So if we were looking at -9 and 7, -9 would be 9 jumps away from 0 on the number line, while 7, on the other hand, would only be 7 jumps away. So -9 would have the greater absolute value. So let's apply these rules to these same 6 questions that you saw just a minute ago. We've got 6 plus -7 in the first question here, which is from the worksheet. Well, here we have different signs. So when I have different signs, it did tell me that I wanted to subtract. So I would do 7 minus 6. Again, we always do big minus small, which is 1. And then what I'm going to do is figure out which one is further away from 0, meaning it would have the greater absolute value, and take that sign and apply it to the result. Since -7 would be more jumps away from 0 than 6, -7 has the bigger absolute value. Since it's negative, my answer is also negative, and -1 is my answer. The second question there says -13 plus 4. Again, we have different signs here, so I'm going to subtract. 13 minus 4 is going to change into 9. And then I'm going to look at these and say, which one has the greater absolute value? Well, -13 has the greater absolute value in that it's more jumps away from 0. Since it's negative, my answer must also be negative as well. So -9 is my solution. Now, this last question, -7 plus -7, is different. Here we have the same signs. They're both negative numbers. When we have the same signs, we simply add the 2 numbers and ignoring the sign. So we have 7 and 7, which goes together to make 14. And then since both of these numbers are negative, my answer must be negative as well. And that's how I come up with -14. If you're sitting there and thinking, well, wait a minute, a negative and a negative are supposed to make a positive, you're actually thinking of multiplication rules, and you're just a little bit too early on that one. All right, let's go to the subtraction rules. As you can see, we've already changed these just as we did in the first video to adding the opposite. Remember, the minus sign becomes addition, and then whatever is directly after it changes its sign. So negatives become positive, positives become negative, and so on. So we've got 2 plus -11 now in the first question, which started off as 2 minus 11. Well, now I go back to my rules here. It's the same as addition because they've changed into addition problems. We have different signs, so I'm going to subtract. 11 minus 2 is 9. Again, we're always doing big minus small. Then whichever number is further away from 0, I take its sign and apply it to the result. Well, -11 has the greater absolute value, and since it's negative, my answer must be negative as well, -9. In the second one, we have -9 plus 16. We once again have different signs here, so I'm going to subtract. 16 minus 9. 16 minus 9 is going to change into 7. And then I'm going to say to myself, which one is further from 0? Because that number sign gets applied to the result. Well, 16 is more jumps away from 0 than -9. Since it's positive, my answer must be positive as well. So 7 is the answer. -9 minus -16 is 7. And this last one just changed into 2 plus 6, and we don't really even need a rule for that because we've been adding positive integers forever. 2 and 6 go together to make 8. Since they're both positive, my answer would be positive as well. And of course, indeed, 8 is already a positive number.